Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everything Iconic with me, Danny Pellegrino. I'm so excited. We have a true queen, icon, and legend here on the show today. We have Keke Palmer, of course, Emmy winner. She's got a new collection out with Amazon Stories. Keke, how are you today?
I'm so good. It's good to talk to you, love. And I'm very much so hating on your clarity in your camera. I need to upgrade myself.
Thank you. And I'm just looking at my hair. I'm like, is my hair okay? My boyfriend put a new camera here, and it's like it's high def.
Yo, you look great.
Thank you. You always look beautiful. Keke, I'm such a fan. I was just saying, I'm like a little nervous because what do we call ourselves? Keke Palmer stands. What are we supposed to call ourselves? Do we have a name for it?
It's so crazy because I don't know what the name would be. That's just like we all the millennials, like we're just the kids. I don't know what I would, because I'm not like Kekenators or that's too idealistic. So I don't know what we call ourselves.
We got to figure it out. You have your hand sort of in everything. Is there one thing within your career that you like the most? Like, do you love hosting the most, acting? I mean, what's your favorite part?
I think it's different periods. I feel different things. Like I definitely think growing up, it was like acting. Or even before, I guess I started acting first, it was music, and then acting kind of took over my mind. And then from there, it became like hosting. And I think I'm still very much so enjoying hosting and the opportunity to just be myself, because sometimes it can get a lot when you're just acting all the time as other people. But even more so, I think producing and just, being in control of narratives that I want to tell, from a writer's perspective or a director's perspective has definitely become increasingly more of my interest as well.
Right. I remember falling in love with you when you were in Akeelah and the Bee, and I was in college and I was closeted at the time. But of course, people should have known because I dragged all my friends in college to go see Akeelah and the Bee off campus because I was like, you guys got to see this. Like, there's this new young woman in here that's amazing. And Angela Bassett's so good. And I made people watch it. And then they replayed it on our campus channel over and over again. And I mean, all the other guys on my dorm floor were like, trying to hook up with girls. And I was like, you guys, let's watch Akeelah and the Bee again.
Well, first of all, you are very impressive because just the fact that usually parents have to get people to watch Akeelah and the Bee. So the fact that you wanted to watch on your own is like, yeah.
I loved it. What was that like? I mean, Angela Bassett, who's of course incredible. And was that your first role or one of your first roles?
That was one of my first roles. Definitely my first starring role, because before then I had done like a couple of bit parts and I did a supporting role in a movie that I did with William H. Macy for TNT. And Akeelah and the Bee, I think there was like one scene that I wasn't in. So it was definitely the most heaviest load. And it was exciting, but also nerve-wracking. Like I love working with, kids because I hadn't been in regular school for a while. I was still kind of new to the industry. So to be on the set that I could actually hang out with kids my age was definitely my number one, like, excitement. And then second to that was obviously working with, Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne, because even though I was a kid, I still had watched What's Love Got to Do with It. So I love them both. And obviously I also watched The Matrix. So I was a little bit also scared of Lawrence as well, but he was awesome. And Angela was really helpful for me with acting and stuff like that. I got a lot of, coaching from her where it wasn't like she was trying to coach me, but I just was learning from her. She really was definitely a mentor. And same for Lawrence. I remember there was a day where I was like being a real kid and kind of like laughing at his performance because it was making me uncomfortable. Because as a kid, when you see an adult cry, especially a guy, you can be kind of like, And so I was being like very goofy. I would never forget. He was like, you cannot do that. You have to be professional for your fellow actors, and like really called me to be kind of like, a mature performer as opposed to just treating me like a kid. It was nerve-wracking at the time, but looking back, I'm so grateful that he was that real with me, because I think it made me a better actor, especially to my co-stars.
Right. You mentioned What's Love Got to Do with It and The Matrix, and we cover a lot of nostalgia on this show. And I wondered, like, when you were around that age or just when you were younger, like, what were your favorite movies growing up? Like, were there some that you just watched over and over again or still watch over and over again?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I have tons of them. So, I love watching Bring It On. I can watch Bring It On back to back to back to back to back. Miss Congeniality, Wish Upon a Star, which is actually so low key. It's such a like low key DCOM, from back in the day. I think.
Wait, who was it? Was that Katherine Heigl?
Bingo, Katherine Heigl. That was way back in the day. I could watch Wish Upon a Star literally back to back to back. I also love a movie called The Wood, which is written by Rick from UA, who did also Dope. I mean, there are so many, but those are just some of my favorites, to name a few, like that I can replay and replay.
Since we're talking about acting, I got to touch on Hustlers for a second. Did you guys have, obviously J-Lo deserved the Oscar for that, right? She was so good at that.
Man, she was so good.
Like,
but,
what,
you know, hey.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we all still saw it and it was great, but did you guys have like a text thread? Like, what was going on here? Like, why didn't J-Lo get the nom? Like, what
I definitely was talking to my girl Elaine, who has been Jennifer's producing partner for years, since Made in Manhattan. She's awesome, and we had a lot of fun.
Another classic movie too, Made in Manhattan. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, and to note that Jennifer has been producing and creating opportunities for herself and other women for years. So love her for that. But yeah, I remember telling Elaine, like, we all knew, like, but at the end of the day, to your point, Danny, we were like, hey, people saw the movie. They loved it. It made an impact, definitely in this genre, in this era of pop culture. So we were cool with it.
Yeah, I mean, what a good movie that was. And you're popping up on Insecure now too, which I'm obsessed with Insecure. And I know you're a big fan. And I'm curious, who do you want Issa to end up with? Do you want Nathan? Do you want Lawrence? Do you want neither?
I love Nathan as a person because he's also a friend of mine, as is Jay Ellis. Jay Ellis and Kendrick are both friends of mine. However, I need her to end up with Lawrence, because she was the reason why her and Lawrence got all messed up. So I need for her to make amends with this and give my man Lawrence a chance again. I know he got a baby, but hey.
Right. It's such a good show though. And it was so exciting to watch you pop up there.
Oh man.
Keke, I don't even know where to go. I just have so many questions for you. It's like, there's so many things to talk about. You're in the Old Navy campaign. I want to know, like, do you have any favorite Christmas movies or something? I love seeing, I'm a holiday junkie, so I love seeing that. I have so many things I want to ask you.
So first of all, we can always say the classic, right? It's a Wonderful Life. That's always been my dad's favorite. We have to watch that with him every year. Outside of that, absolutely love The Grinch, the Jim Carrey version. That's forever iconic. I don't know if anybody can.
Okay, but isn't it a little unhinged with the baby Grinch and everything? It's a little. I
feel like I have to watch that as an adult because I'm sure there are tons of adult jokes that I absolutely missed. But like, that's obviously a favorite. But the one that goes underrated, under the radar, which maybe I have a feeling that maybe you might know what it is, but it's a play on Scrooge, and it's called A Diva's Christmas Carol, starring Vanessa Williams. And that, honey, just hear those sleigh bells ringing in a ring, ding, 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 ding.
What about Heartquake? What about Heartquake from Diva's Christmas Carol?
Danny, why did I know?
Do I feel a heartquake? When are they going to release Heartquake? Like, it's not available on Spotify. That version with Chili, who of course you played in the TLC movie, and Vanessa Williams singing a song called Heartquake. It's not available. That movie is so freaking good.
So good. It's so good. And it's like, it's just got all the things you need. And they used to play it every single year on Lifetime, I think it is, or whatever. And my sister and I will be sitting there. We fell upon it one Christmas and we were addicted from that moment forward.
I love you so much, Keke. Okay. So you're doing this collection, which I love that Amazon is doing this, where they're doing sort of like pieced out stories, like a book in pieces that you can listen to on Audible. I was listening this morning. It just came out today, actually, on Audible. But you can also read it. Tell people about this project.
Yeah, so it came from, like, I kind of run my Instagram page like a network, or like SNL, for instance, where I'll do a pilot, a character or a sketch, and I'll see how my audience is like really kind of being entertained by it, and I might continue it, or I'll build it out to a bigger storyline, like I did with Turned Up with the Taylors for Facebook. For my character, Chelsea Barbie Taylor. So for a long time, I was always trying to find a family to collaborate with and build out the story of Lady Miss Jacqueline that came from the sketch Southern Belle Insults. And I finally got my opportunity with Amazon Original Stories. And I was excited because I was like, finally we need to give them a chance to know who is the Janet that she's always insulting. Like, you always hear Janet in the back. I'm like, oh, Janet. But Janet's like, oh, Janet's all in the back, like, you don't know who she is. So I was like, what would be great with the Southern Bells collection that we can do with Amazon is actually go into the world of Janet and actually, let's have Lady Miss Jacqueline kind of narrate this story, and let's add this whims and this mystical element to it. Because one thing that we know for sure with the character Janet is that she doesn't have a lot of confidence, and she's always letting Lady Miss Jacqueline read her for filth. And so I thought, how cool would it be if we create this story where we're going on this journey with Janet of how she discovers how to own herself, how she discovers her inner feminist, how she discovers her voice and her ability to communicate with all different people, how she discovers her boldness and her ability to just kind of love freely. And let's do it in the world of wigs. Let's have these wigs kind of play this conduit like Jim Carrey's The Mask, and have these wigs give her the permission to kind of transform. And so that's really what the book is about, what the collection is about. And like I said, it's mystical, it has fantasy elements, but really ultimately the message is don't be afraid to try something new, and don't be afraid to allow yourself to kind of get loose and be free, because you never know what you can discover and you never know who it's going to bring into your life.
These Southern Belle characters that you've created on your social media, who were they inspired by? Is there a little Phaedra Parks in there somewhere that I'm...
Oh my gosh. I think Phaedra is one person that I did not think about when coming up with Lady Miss. Like initially Lady Miss came from my just extra out personality that Max was tapping into, which is my producing partner. We create a lot of these things together. But then eventually, I think I realized that a lot of the influences came from people that influenced me growing up on television, like our favorite shows, Sister Sister with Jackée Harry, or, Jennifer Lewis and all the many great roles that she played. I think those women are great comps for, the kind of things that I pull out to play Lady Miss Jacqueline. But then when it comes to Chelsea Barbie Taylor, I kind of always wrestled with the thought of what would it be like to be a Black girl with a mom and dad that's Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. What does that mean for your life? How does that then create the scenario for identity and culture, or, what you look like and what you're supposed to quote unquote act like, especially as a Black person where, people are kind of always thinking being Black is a monolith. You got to listen to hip hop. You got to be into this. You got to be into that. And so that came from just literally my idea to kind of break down the ideology of what it means to be Black. And I created this character, Chelsea Barbie Taylor, who is pretty much opposite of anything that you would consider to be a stereotype. And, that was just like, that's how that came out. And then with Carrie and Sophie, they came out of the storyline. So I had both Lady Miss Jacqueline and Chelsea Barbie Taylor as standalone characters. And then when I started writing the book, I said, okay, you know what? We need to have a couple of more characters to help fill out this messaging of the story and the point that I want to get across. And so Carrie came about because I needed a bold, strong character to help break down some of the walls that Janet was still holding up once we got to the third or fourth part of the storyline. And then Sophie was her balance, because for me, I think I've always got to remind myself to have balance in my life, to have gratitude for where I am, to be, to have grace for others in my life, to have patience with myself, because there's so many things I'm always trying to do and putting so much pressure on myself. And so that character was meant to fulfill that space in Janet's narrative over her course of her journey in the book.
I love that. I think people are going to like it. You mentioned Jackée, and I wonder, I love Sister Sister too. And she, to me, is one of the funniest. She was in a movie called Ladybugs, which we don't got to get into, but she's so funny in everything she does. But that I remember being obsessed with as a kid. Is there one person in the industry or a handful that are sort of like your North Stars, or who you sort of are modeling your career after? Are you, I know you're also really blazing your own path, doing all of these wonderful things, but I wonder, who are your heroes career-wise?
It's such a good question. I think one of them would be like Tyler Perry, because I love what Tyler Perry has done, obviously, as a writer, as a director, as a producer, as a studio owner. I mean, he has blown my mind. I've never seen anybody do that outside of like Walt Disney. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't really seen anybody be willing to make those many leaps in that way and really kind of have their own thing that they can like continue to create from. That level of freedom is very inspiring as a creative. So Tyler is definitely an inspiration. I would also say people like, Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, obviously, because I love his comedy. I love the different characters he plays, but I also love the way that he's always taken something old and made it new again. Like a lot of my friends don't even know he didn't really originate Dr. Dolittle or, Nutty Professor. So the fact that he's a historian of comedy and he's able to also take those things and still make them his own, absolutely, incredible. And then, of course, people like the likes of Oprah Winfrey or Dick Clark, or Carol Burnett, more people that kind of really have owned that hosting space and made it their own. And I really say Dick Clark as well, because he's created things that live on after him. And I think that's the important thing too for me. Like when I think about myself growing as somebody that's also behind the scenes, is creating stuff for the generation to run away with. You know, where when I'm long gone, y'all still doing the such and such awards, or y'all are still doing, you know, this Christmas special. You know, so I look forward to, you know, being able to kind of branch off to do those kind of things as well.
I need you to do a Christmas special. Now I'm just thinking about it. Like, are you going to do it? What's happening? I feel like you could do
on it.
Okay, because I feel like, yeah, a good variety. I don't know what it'd be, a variety. But also you can sing, you can do it all. We need it.
We could have a visit from Lady Mister on the show. I mean, we're ready. God,
we need it. Okay, I want to talk about memes. You're such an iconic meme. There's a bunch of memes that you're sort of a part of, and I wonder, specifically the Vanity Fair, the sorry to this man, which has become such a moment. How do you feel about that now? Because it's everywhere. Are there times you wish you could erase it? Do you like it? Like, what do you think now that you see it all the time?
You know, I really do embrace it. I honestly do embrace this. Every now and then I'm like, okay, please don't force me to say it. Because sometimes I'll see a fan out and they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, please don't. Sorry to this man. You know, sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to give you the same performance right now because I'm off the clock. But outside of that, I really do love it because I think memes are the one place that, first of all, I love memes. I've loved memes since before I became the Millennial Diva meme. I've always found joy in them because I think it's how we all relate to each other. And especially sometimes as an entertainer, and when you've been doing it as long as I've been doing it, there can kind of be this perception of who you are, your life as a celebrity and this, but really I'm just a theater kid. I'm just an artist person that, you know, that does this for a living. It's really not much more than that. But obviously there's so many perceptions that come with the lifestyle and the presentation of the entertainment industry that can be quite annoying. And so when it comes to the memes, I feel like that's the one time, the space where my audience can really see me as they see themselves. So the fact that, you know, that's a place where they feel like they can identify with me just as we normally identify with one another beyond whatever I do as an entertainer, it's very special. And so I really appreciate and embrace that.
I'm so impressed by you. When you go to bed at night, is there one dream that is superseding right now in your career? Like, is there one, is it like a movie role? Like, oh, I really want to do that movie role or that the holiday special or whatever it is. Like, is there one that lately
I think it's really just going into that producing role and really being somebody that can get things greenlit, that can create opportunities for other people. Like, I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm always going to love to perform. That's always going to be a place where I can escape. And, you know, I enjoy it. It's a big part of who I am. But I really also look forward to being behind the camera, you know, discovering talent, you know, writing more scripts. You know, I wrote my first script, directed my first project this year, and I really loved it. It really was relaxing. And it was so cool because when I did Nope with Jordan, that was the thing I was talking about. Jordan Peele.
Yeah, the amazing Jordan Peele.
Yeah, that we just did. So yeah, we just did Nope, you know, which we just finished a couple of months ago. And I remember asking him, because obviously I was a fan of Key and Peele, and I'm still a fan of Key and Peele and the things that he's done as an actor, and a performer. And I was like, Jordan, do you ever think that you will do some more, you know, on camera stuff again? And he was like, you know, the feeling that I get from being able to create opportunities to write and get these ideas across, it's the same feeling, but even more. And I get to have a normal life. And I was just like, yeah. That's the North Star, to be able to still create, to tell stories. Oh my gosh, to just be able to be on the set and still be active, but to be hanging with the crew and being in the background. That's something that very much so excites me.
You know, I was a big fan of your talk show with Sarah and Michael, and I'm a talk show junkie in general, but was there one lesson or a couple lessons that you learned from your time on that show in terms of hosting?
I mean, yeah, I think I'm always learning. I mean, I love Michael, and to see how he has been able to just withstand and make a life for himself as a host after football. I think the friendship that we created through that experience is something that I'll always keep with me. And the same thing with Sarah Haynes. I absolutely adore Sarah as well. I think I always learned to remain curious, not to force a message. If I don't have anything to say, if I don't have a particular statement, I don't have to force it. I can be honest with that. And to just always lead with authenticity, you know, which is something I've always known, but I think it was something that I saw be taken very positively when I did that show in a way that I did not expect. So it was just a kind of a constant reminder to just be myself, to be myself and to also prepare. I think pre-preparation is something that happens a lot with hosting, and it's something that lends itself as a hand for me when it comes to improv and all of my different hosting elements. It's just that pre mind rolling of what if this happens, what if that happens, or what if this happens, or what if, that kind of thing. It helps that skill of improvisation.
Keke, I think you're doing Watch What Happens Live tonight. Are you a Housewives fan?
I sure am.
Okay, what do you think of the Jen? Are you watching Salt Lake City? What do you think of the Jen Shah?
So wait a minute. I watched the Beverly Hills.
Okay, tell me about Erica Jane. What do you believe, Bamboozle Jane? What do you think?
So this is my thing with Erica Jane is that it's so sad, right? Because you never know what somebody's going to respond in a horrific scenario. And it's honestly never usually what other people expect. I mean, we can look at stories of the news where somebody was crying terribly and it turns out they did kill their kid. And you're like, wait a minute, so that was just a performance? So I feel for Erica Jane in the regard where her emotions are not matching the scenario to people. And therefore they don't believe that she is, what she's saying is true and honest. But honestly, you don't know how you're going to react in a horrible situation. And I kind of feel that they're expecting so much from her. And I kind of feel her point when she's saying that, hey, you guys should comfort me and be there for me and, not be so quick to kind of try to look for the loopholes. But at the same time, that is the part of the game. I mean, it is the Housewives. So What did you expect? And
she's too mean, though, too. Like, that's where I kind of find the disconnect. Because when she's calling Sutton the name in the reunion, I'm like, well, okay, if I want to help me help you kind of thing. Like,
yeah, it's like she doesn't realize that the reason why people are coming so hard on her is because she's already been such a stuck up type of person.
Being an asshole. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, I know I got to let you go, so I'm just going to run through lightning round questions. You played Chili in the TLC biopic Amazing. What's the best TLC song?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, my mind is blanking.
I'm thinking Digging on You or Red Light Special.
On You.
Yeah, Digging on You, right?
I was literally thinking about Chili when she had that bridge part. That's why I did my hair like that. Digging on You is so digging on me, digging on me.
So good. So good.
I mean, it's just too good.
Okay, Scream Queens reboot. There's like sort of rumors. Would you do it?
Sure. Because they ain't gonna have to have more lines, love.
Right. I know, right. How was that set? Was everyone nice on that set?
That set was very much so a Scream Queen set, honey. We was giving you life and life and life, the tea after tea after tea. I love those girls still to this day. I love them. I seen her right before she had her child. And I was just like, I can't believe, girl, that the time is going by so fast like this to the point where you already about to pop out a baby. But we've known each other for years. And so it was great to work on that show with her and the other girls.
Right. Okay. I ask all of my guests these next two questions. Your favorite Mariah Carey song. And if you were choosing for People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive, which I believe is being announced today or tonight, the new one, as of this recording, who would you choose?
Okay. So the first answer then I'll say is, oh my gosh, Always Be My Baby. Not to sound so typical.
No, it's good.
But Always Be My Baby. And the Sexiest Man Alive, I have to be my man.
No, it's got to be someone famous, Keke. Come on. People don't want to. I mean, I'm sure your man is sexy. I don't know what he looks like. I'll have to look. I'll be looking after we're done here. But if you got to choose,
I'm in trouble. Okay. So who would it be? Who would be the sexiest man alive? Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? I don't mean to just play it safe like this, but I think we've all known that this man has been the sexiest man alive since the 90s. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah. I know. I even people are hard on him as he's getting older, but I like the older version.
It's like at the end of the day, let the man age. First of all, I'm thrilled and excited about him possibly doing the Jim Jones movie.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Would definitely be Oscar again because, chill.
I loved your changing point of view on the Titanic movie too. There was this whole thing that was happening online. So I like that you reevaluate it.
You know why? Because I saw it again and I was like, I forgot that my girl did something I would never do. The fact that she went back in there with the water up to her neck like this, trying to save that man's life like that. She really loved him. And that's when I was like, sis, I'm gonna back up off you.
Right. That was nice of you. Keke, I love you so much. You're the best. You're the most charismatic, wonderful human in the entertainment industry. And I can't wait to see what you do next. Everyone's got to check out on Amazon Audible. Check out Keke's collection of stories on there. Follow Keke on social media. And I can't wait to see you in Nope and everything you do. Keke, love you. Thank you so much.
You're the sweetest.